This is the meeting after the meeting. None of our participants get paid, and we don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous. Enjoy the show. I'm digging this energy. This is that good.
This takes me back to the and fun.
Takes me back to the 90s.
This is like
HF Festival, rock and roll, RFK. Chris, were you at?
No.
You never got into the 90s rock scene?
I mean, punk rock.
You like a nickel? You were a Nickelback guy, weren't
God,
you?
No,
you were a nickel. I'm through with standing in line clubs.
930 Club, Bad Brains, Fugazi.
They're opening up a new little.
That's what I was doing.
They're opening up a new little club down there. Like it's supposed to be like the original 930 Club. It's called the.
I heard about that.
Yeah. The Foo Fighters are going to be the opening act.
I mean, it's not a little club if Foo Fighters is.
No, it only seats like 300 some people. They said at 500.
That's an expensive ticket.
500,000 people tried to apply to get like 3,000 tickets or something.
Jesus.
So.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in D.C. in the 90s.
This is either way. This is good, Gabe. Well done. I'm feeling.
I knew I had you with this one, John. I knew I had you.
Well,
He told me.
John's got 90s on 9 locked in his car.
He said, he's in 2 seconds. He was like, I got it. This is you. So.
This is John. This guy, his name written all over it for sure.
I'm excited. Well,
all right. What do we got?
Let's get into it. This is the meeting after the meeting. I'm John.
I'm Chris.
Welcome back, everybody. We are
episode
here
9
tonight. Yes, episode 9. We got a great guest with us tonight. We're going to introduce him here in a minute. We've got a cool new newcomer tip of the week we're going to talk about, and we have a sketch, one that we've done before, that we're going to be bringing back.
It might be worse.
You think it's going to be worse?
I don't see how I could do better.
So if you're familiar with the meeting after the meeting, you know that we do a sketch of the week, and this one in particular we've done before. It's called We Had But Two Alternatives. We're going to be playing a little game on the show with our guest, our producer, and Chris and I, where we have.
No, you don't play. It's just us.
Well,
I mean, you're the game designer.
I'm the host, the game show host.
Yeah.
And we have 5 different readings, and those readings come either from the AA Big Book or the 12 and 12, and you all are going to decide and either be right or be humiliated for not knowing the literature very well. And at the end of it, we're going to pick a winner, and that winner is going to win a God dice.
God dice. Roll it out.
Always comes up God.
Always loaded.
Always God's dice are always loaded. So
Jane, I think, won the last one. She did. Our speaker won.
Speaker won. So we'll see if our speaker this week, just to give you a quick breakdown, the meeting after the meeting is a weekly podcast that's recorded on Zoom live on Wednesdays from 8 to 9 p.m. You can find that information for the Zoom meeting on our link tree, which is what?
TMATM Live.
TMATM Live. And it is also, the videos are recorded and put up on our link tree as well, and you can find those there. We also have some social media that we're doing at TMATM Live on Instagram, building up our following. Also on TikTok.
Yeah, we got like 6 followers on TikTok.
I mean, they're the most riveting TikToks you've ever seen.
And we're bursting at the seams with 71 on Instagram.
Killing the game.
We're killing it.
Why don't we introduce our producer, Gabe? How's it going?
Going great.
What's up, Gabe?
Going great. It's
Gabe,
Wednesday.
How was your week?
It was good. I was in New York this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, took my girl up there.
Gabe is out there doing things, dude.
Living life.
When you don't spend all your money on drugs and booze, you can do a lot of cool stuff.
That's very true. Gabe, you give me an NYC vibe.
Dude, I'm going for the third time in June.
Yeah.
It's like the easy. I'm not a big
He can move up there.
flying person. I'm too scared to fly.
Could you
but-
live there? That's the question.
Yes.
I mean, it'll take. Yes, I think I would. I could live there for like a month. But I don't.
Well, that's not living. I mean,
I could live there for a month.
that's visiting.
Well, living, visiting, I could live there for a
It's like
month.
an extended vacation. Live there.
Extended stay.
Yeah.
I could live there for a month.
So you couldn't really live there. It's
No,
too
I mean
much.
it would lose. Yeah, it would lose. I mean, the amount of rats that you see. I mean,
It takes a special kind of psychopath to move up to New York.
Yeah, and then the summer's brutal and the winter's brutal, but like the fall and spring
It's
are
the
really nice.
for me more than anything. It would just be the space. It's just the space. It's tight, man. The apartments are small, and I like a little more space.
I hear that like there's so many people there that like AA is pretty big, but you don't really see a lot of the same people more than once. That's what I heard.
A lot of meetings in New York City.
Good AA.
Yeah,
Definitely.
A lot of
some
meetings.
weird AA too.
Hey, there's some weird AA here. too.
I mean,
there
like
you go. Got some weird AA. everywhere.
candlelight,
You got that around
midnight
here.
candlelit
You got that
meetings.
around here. Not even at midnight,
you
man.
know, yoga with goats and
Yoga Goat AA.
I mean, it's-
midnight candlelight yoga goat
seance.
AA.
Yeah.
All right, let's introduce our
Enough of
guest. We have bantered enough here. I'm excited to have him on. He's a friend of ours. We've known him for many years. Let's welcome Clyde G from Rockville, Maryland.
Lad, what's up?
What's going on?
What's up?
What's going on?
There we go.
Oh, there it is. They love you, man.
They're cheering for you. How you doing, Clyde?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
How's your week been?
It's kind of long.
Long.
It's kind of long so far.
Working.
It's a lot of work and getting up
Yeah.
early. 5 a.m. starts.
So you woke up this morning at 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
and you came here from work.
Well, I went home and showered and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then came here.
Yeah.
That's that
thank you.
contractor life, 5
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah.
Or dad life, one or the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Or little, young child.
Young
life.
kids,
Yep.
unless
you're.
Don't say it.
Yeah, no, I can't.
don't
but
even say it.
You can give them no airtime. Well, that's good. We really appreciate it. We know, and most of our guests, like you, come here. They've had a busy day.
sliding right in,
Yeah,
tired.
Come in here.
We
and
appreciate it.
Yeah, we're grateful that
got it.
you're willing to do it. We love your story, so we're excited to get into that a little bit. You said you listened to one episode of our show, right? So you
I
kind of
did.
know.
Yeah.
It's better than most of our guests.
Yeah, that is.
To be
Most of our
honest.
guests have never listened to any of it. That's what I expected
Never.
you to say.
Never. Yeah.
So,
But I hit Clyde up early on. I hit
Yeah.
him up and I said, "This is what we're doing." He was real excited about it.
Yeah.
Checked it out. Hit me back. Said it was fire.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. Yeah, man.
we're glad. Why don't we get into a little bit of the basic info we call the stats, your sobriety date, sponsor, home group. You wouldn't mind telling us a little bit?
My sobriety date is September the 25th, 2015. I have a sponsor. Do you want me to mention his name?
You don't have to.
Okay.
That's all right.
I have a sponsor and I have a home group.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. What's your home group, if you don't mind?
Midtown.
Midtown. Okay. All right. We have guests, and a lot of them are people we know, and so we're building up different home groups. I'm glad it's not the same home group that my home group is. I won't even say because we've had so many people from there. It's just not, So it's good to get some Midtown people in here. Yeah. So
We all grew up in the same sandbox.
we did.
Yeah.
We definitely did.
Whatever you call our own group now, we're all from the same family.
Yeah.
100%, man.
That's right.
So, well, good to hear that. And why don't we get into your story here? We're going to do the 3 W's. First one, which is what you were like, Clyde. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Clyde?
So what it was like for me, I grew up in Forestville, Maryland. A lot of people think I grew up in Southeast DC, but I didn't. I grew up in PG County, right? I grew up with my grandmother in Forestville, and I grew up with her because my mother struggled with alcohol and addiction, right? My father, he spent a lot of time in jail, so my grandmother was my caretaker. And growing up, my grandmother, she kind of she was the best. You know, she sent me to Catholic schools. You know, I went to Catholic schools. You know, I was real spoiled too. You know, like in the opening chapter of Dr. Bob's Nightmare. You know, you can see how in there he was kind of like a spoiled brat. You know, and I grew up a spoiled brat. You know, because I was the only
Nothing like grandma.
Nothing like grandma. You know, it's you know always. You know, because I was the only male child. Daddy was away in jail.
I'm familiar. I had a grandma just like that. I was the only boy.
Yeah, Daddy was away in jail. I had one uncle who passed away from the HIV virus when I was young, like 10. So I was the only male child in the home. I was real spoiled. I was like the first person in my neighborhood with a PlayStation. You know, go back a little further. I was the first person with a Teddy Rubbskin.
You were a popular kid.
I was popular. I had everything. You know, my grandmother
People wanted to come over your
made
house.
sure I didn't want for nothing, right?
John had a Teddy Rubbskin.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I don't know. Probably. I had
Yes, we
everything
got the
too.
same age, right?
Yeah,
I'm a little older, but
you're 80s baby.
80s baby.
Yeah. So you know.
I probably had one.
Yeah. So yeah, I attended Catholic schools and you know, grandma wanted the best for me. And when I was leaving the 8th grade, I went to Holy Comforter St. Cyprian's, and you know, I attended mass, you know. So I got, you know, before I even came to alcohol.
You knew right from wrong.
Right. Before I came to AA, I kind of knew who God was. You know, didn't really know that I was going to need him in all areas of my life as I got older. But I had an understanding of who he was from going to mass. I served as an altar boy for one day.
Look at you.
That's it, one day.
Look at you.
Just one day.
What happened?
Just one day.
They
That's
fire
it.
you?
I fired myself.
You're
you
like,
know. Yeah. But you know, so a pretty good upbringing. Left Holy Comforter. The plan was to go to Bishop McNamara. You know, had I went to Bishop McNamara, I'd have been able to hang out with all you Gonzaga, all the Gonzaga boys,
Ain't
like
no
my
Gonzaga
sponsor,
boys here.
my sponsor,
Hey, I'm a
all of
Gonzaga
the
boy.
Mather crew. You know,
Gabe
I'm a Gonzaga
isn't
boy.
he is a Gonzaga. I didn't know that.
you are.
Yeah, I'm a Gonzaga
You
boy.
went to Gonzaga?
You don't
Yes,
look like
sir.
you went to Gonzaga.
I know, I don't.
Yeah, you really don't look like a Gonzaga boy.
Yeah. I look like I was bullied a little bit at Gonzaga.
Yeah, you look like you might not have been the most popular guy. at Gonzaga.
I played 3 sports.
If I saw Gabe on the street, I'd probably try to give him some money, you know, thinking he was homeless.
I didn't always have this hair.
Yeah, so I think it was because of financial issues. My grandmother couldn't send me to Bishop McNamara. So at that time I had to go to public schools.
Yeah.
You know, she sent me to public schools and I was zoned to go to Largo High School. Right. And you know, it was kind of like at Largo High School that I began to experience some changes, you know, some differences, you know, because public school was different than Catholic school.
Sure.
You know, it was scary, to be honest. You know what I mean? There were dress codes that I couldn't identify with. You know, I just come from Catholic schools where we
Wear
wore
the same thing every day.
uniforms
Yeah.
and bass, what they call bass shoes. That's what we wore every day.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm going into public schools, their dress codes,
Sneakers.
pretty girls, and stuff like that. Matter of fact, that one of the most popular things in high school when I was going to school was the NASCAR shirts. Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon.
Really?
Do you remember those?
No.
They had like these race car shirts and Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes. I do.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I
Looney
remember
Tunes was
Looney
real
Tunes.
popular.
Looney Tunes.
I remember that.
Warner
Yeah.
Brother clothing.
Yep, I remember that.
My grandmother couldn't afford none of that stuff. My grandmother went and got me a shirt from Kmart that looked like the real thing, but
was a little off.
But when you put it in the dryer, it told the truth. You know what I mean? You know, so you know, a lot of inadequacies and insecurities. I'm walking around.
And your dad's not around.
And Dad's not
Yeah,
around.
I mean,
you
there's
know,
no-
Dad's not around. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, when he was around, he was Dad. But you know, like I mentioned, the judges in Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and D.C.
You don't have to
sent
tell
him on
me.
vacations.
Yeah.
Sometimes these vacations would be anywhere between 6 months to 6 years. You know, so you know that was that.
So where did you find yourself? discovering alcohol and drugs, or if you did do drugs, I'm assuming most of us have, what that looked like, how did you kind of get your start there?
So when I was going to Largo, right, it was a group of guys that used to live in another area in Forestville off of Ritchie Road. And, they were kind of they were a little tough guys, because even though they were going to school in Maryland, like me, they had family in Washington, D.C., so I kind of hooked up with them. Matter of fact, they were brothers. One name was Leon. The other one name was Linwood. And they had a hell of a reputation in high school, right? And I wanted to be like them, I drank with them, but my first drink actually came in my grandmother's basement. It was Bacardi white rum.
There you go.
Bacardi white rum.
That's a good first drink right
Yeah.
there. That's quality liquor.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And it was in my grandmother's basement.
Yeah.
That I first had my experience.
We've heard some doozies for first drinks. I mean,
Yeah,
disgusting.
Bacardi white rum, it's all right. So then, I'm drinking and my friends are starting to change. As a matter of fact, I remember one time we had skipped school and we had went in the woods. We had some drink and we had some weed. And I remember when I came out of those woods with Leon and Linwood, I remember Linwood saying, he said, man, he said, they called me Moochie when I was coming up. He said, bro, Moochie kind of looked like our older brother, Luke. They had an older brother named Luke that was killed, right? And I remember Leon said, man, what you talking about? Moochie is our brother. And it was at that point that I felt like Bill when he said I had arrived. I had found my people.
Yeah.
I had found my people. And, this kind of hanging out with these folks, it kind of led me to hanging with one group of people, then I hooked up with a cousin of mine that went to Largo with me named Squirrel, right? And this is where the introduction to Southeast began, right? Squirrel, both of us had family in Southeast in a neighborhood called Woodland off of Alabama Avenue, right? But Squirrel visited more often than I did, but I end up hanging out with him, and then I end up going over there, right? Yeah. And that's when I started getting involved in other substances, right?
A little harder stuff.
Yeah. Mainly like heroin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at this time, not only was me and Squirrel hanging there, but my mother was also living in another area in Southeast off of Wheeler Road, right? It's another bad area, So yeah, a lot of drugs.
So you're doing that, and you find your way there. And how old were you when you got sober?
I was 6 days shy of my 31st birthday.
So between high school and 31, what happened? Where did you? We want to start getting into what happened to you here, but describe kind of the end of your drinking. What did that look like? Where did it take you?
The end of my drinking. So I was a district government employee. I used to throw trash for DC government, and
it's pretty good, steady job,
yeah.
Good benefits.
If you sober, it is. If you sober, but the job would send me back and forth to treatment because I was under this like EAP program where they would help you get help,
Right.
But I really didn't do the whole deal when it came down to recovery, going to meetings and stuff. So, things just got worse. And in the end, when I finally decided to come back, I was sitting on a crate in Georgetown panhandling.
Yeah.
That's where I was. And I was sitting on a crate in Georgetown in front of Banana Republic panhandling.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
That's a good spot, actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
a lot
is.
of traffic.
It is. It's tax-free
Now,
money.
were you a quiet panhandler, or were you a vocal like, hey, hook me up panhandler?
Well, I had this one line. That
let's hear the technique.
Ooh,
it was real simple. It's, excuse me, sir or ma'am. I may every now and again I may say something like, I'm homeless and I need help. It was real simple,
Yeah.
real simple,
That was it.
It was it.
How much you make a day?
I recall one day coming home from Georgetown and coming in my mother's house, and I was talking to my baby brother, and I was counting my ones, you know what I mean? I was counting my one. I counted $98.
Not bad.
$98.
Not bad.
How many hours were you down there? Full day?
I would get up there at about 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
From 11 to about 7:30, I catch the 32 bus back to Southeast.
It's a good job.
Yeah,
It's a job.
It's a job.
11 to 8. 11 to 8.
It's a
man,
job.
You know,
But
just-
tax-free?
Tax-free
Tax-free
money.
dollars.
You know?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Tax-free.
Okay, so you're panhandling and you're staying with your mom. Are you still living with are you with your grandmother?
At this time, I'm staying with Mom.
You're staying with mom.
Staying with Mom.
Okay. And you are panhandling. What kind of are you in trouble? How often are you getting messed up? What's your normal drinking looking like?
So
there?
my normal drinking and using looks just like this. Every night when I leave Georgetown, I go back to my mother's house. I got everything I need. You know, I get nice and loaded, and I literally watch repeats of Detective Joe Kinder and Forensic Files all night long till 6 a.m. in the morning.
You know, the end is near when that's your
Yeah,
night.
yes,
I get that.
to the morning.
So that was and basically that was on repeat. That was your hell, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I relate to that. Just kind of that. I don't even know if we were just kind of like waiting to die or what we're doing, but
We have a mutual friend who watched, what was it, Days of Thunder?
Oh yeah.
Over and over again.
Oh yeah.
We do. I actually, and I related to that. I watched 8 Mile over and over every night. I'd get home from work and I'd start drinking and I'd pop on my DVD. This was back when DVDs were in, and I would put in 8 Mile and I would watch the rap battle scenes at the end of 8 Mile over, and I would cry every time B Rabbit would win his battle. I was sitting there drinking a Mad Dog and I'd be like, man, you B Rabbit, man, you got this. Like, and I think it was almost like a metaphor for my life. Like I was the underdog, you know, drinking myself to death. My family didn't want anything to do with me. You know, nothing going on in my life. I'm working this dead end blue collar job, and that was like hope.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a little fire.
There's a little fire.
Yeah.
Maybe
There's
for
a
you
little
it was
fire.
when they would solve the case. Joe Kinder, when he would solve that case, you'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Tomorrow
It's
gonna
crazy.
be better.
It's crazy because I would have some visions about being a detective, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, this wasn't real. I was on probation at the time. Like, how in the hell are you gonna be a detective?
You're not going to be a detective. But you had, I think we all had this idea of like one day,
One
day,
right. That's
and
right.
especially right after I started drinking, right?
That's
You know,
right.
because that
That's
was when the
right.
hope would kick in, right?
Yeah, there you
start
go.
drinking,
There
and you're
you
like,
go.
I mean,
one day
when
I'm gonna be.
I got federally indicted, and I was in intake, you know, over there at Seven Locks for like a couple of days, and then I bonded out. Somebody bonded me out. The first thing I did was go to the bar and start drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And just like it says in Bill Wilson's story, man, after the stock market crashed, I started drinking, and those ideas started coming. I started feeling like, I'm going to beat this case.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to get a lawyer.
That's right.
They don't have me on nothing. I'm not flipping. Forget about it, you know? And as soon as the alcohol wore off, I was right back in the gutter again. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was basically the motivation was we found the courage we found in the drink.
Yep, that's
you
right.
know, and we just never followed through with it because we were drunk.
That's right.
You know, so and I think that's a good segue kind of into. You talked a little bit about what happened. What was your introduction to Alcoholics Anonymous? Was it through treatment? Was it through the court system? Was it just through, you know, finding it online?
It was definitely through treatment because each time that I was in treatment, H&I would bring the message in, you know. And so my biggest thing was when I left treatment. When I left treatment, I had no plan.
Yeah.
You know, I had no plan.
Very common.
You know, I had no plan.
You're not alone on that.
Yeah.
It's common.
I had no plan.
Well, it's not that and I fall into that category, and I know John does totally. It's not that I didn't have a plan. It's just that the plan that I had didn't include Alcoholics Anonymous. Or if it did, it was a sidebar or a footnote.
That's right.
It wasn't, because I still lived in this delusion that if I can do X, Y, and Z, if I could get a job and maybe have the appearance of normality, pay my taxes, go to work, have a nice girlfriend, stay out of the bars and the clubs, don't go to any after hours, maybe drink a little bit, but you know what I mean? Like maybe smoke a little weed, you know what I mean? If I could do that, then I'll be good, and so it's not like, and I think a lot of people fall into that, that trap.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's not exact. It's not out of any like bad
malicious,
malicious thinking or or like
FAA
bad,
or anything like that.
It's just this idea that my priorities are messed up.
That's
my priorities are messed up, and it's not again out of anything bad. It's just simply I don't know.
Well, it's lack of in terms of that idea of alcoholism. I mean, you don't really understand how bad you have it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're afflicted with.
You don't know what you don't know.
That's right. That's right. I like that, Jeff.
Oh, man, here we go. You don't know what you don't know.
So treatment was how you found AA. You said people brought in some meetings, but you're not a first timer. It wasn't the first time you went to treatment, didn't stick.
No.
So what ended up? St. E's, right?
So the last treatment facility I went to was a program called KEG. That was the 28-day program. And my substance abuse counselor there recommended that I go for further treatment.
Right.
And further treatment got me at 801 East. 801 East.
Upstairs.
Okay.
Upstairs. Yes, upstairs.
You didn't come in through
I did.
the first floor.
No. I came in during the day. So during the day, there's nobody at the shelter.
Yeah.
So I said, this place is not what people were saying it is, right?
You didn't.
So my counselor, Mr. Thomas, said, I can get you upstairs, but you're going to have to stay downstairs one night.
Yeah.
Until we do the paperwork.
Everybody's got to stay downstairs one night.
So I came back that night, and when I saw what I saw, I said, I'm going to stay at my mother's house, and I'll come back in the morning.
Yeah, that's smart. So for those of you who don't know, for people listening all over, the country and the world, 801 East is a men's shelter. Legendary shelter in Washington, D.C., but upstairs there
on
was
the campus at St. Elizabeth's.
Of St. Elizabeth's Hospital.
Right.
Where there was like a mental...
tell them about John Hinckley. Go ahead.
John Hinckley.
Tell them about John.
He's there. He was there, right?
Was he there?
I think he's home now.
Oh, he is? Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know.
He was a resident.
He was a resident there. Very famous mental institution where the criminally insane and other people were. But there was a portion, 801's men's shelter, and then above that was a treatment center that you were in.
That's right.
And that's where you got introduced to AA.
That's right.
Less famous Clyde was at the 801.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us what happened when you got sober? What kind of pushed you into Alcoholics Anonymous?
So when my sponsor came over there,
he was bringing a meeting.
He was bringing a meeting, and he was bringing young people to the meeting. See, because that's the difference in this area here in D.C. In D.C., it's not a lot of young people getting sold. It's a lot of old timers. Right?
Yeah.
So to see younger people carrying the message and to hear him share, and me a lot of identifying.
Yeah.
Looking for similarities rather than differences.
And your sponsor was that Gonzaga boy.
My sponsor was that Gonzaga.
He was that Gonzaga
boy. And
boy.
also
Catholic
like
school boy.
Yeah, also like to hang over across the street and serve some quarters on his leisure time, which was one of the worst neighborhoods in Northwest DC at one time.
He's a true psychopath.
Yes.
So you were able to maybe not necessarily relate to everything, but you were able to relate to some of his experiences and his circumstances and his feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so he comes in there, he brings a meeting, and what happened from there? Did they start taking you to meetings?
They started taking us to my current home group.
Okay.
They started taking us there, and while we doing all this, I'm getting to know him better, and so it came the conversation came about what's next, what's going to happen when I leave here.
Yeah.
As I told you, I have a plan. As a matter of fact, part of me intuitively knew that if I went back to my mother's couch, if I went back to Southeast,
you're drinking.
It was not going to be good.
Yeah.
I knew that. And that's kind of like when he came up with the plan for me to come stay with him in Bethesda.
Right.
So your sponsor invited you to come and stay with him
Yes,
because you knew and he knew probably that it wasn't a good idea for you to go back to where you're staying.
that's right.
And from there, you jumped in
Wholehearted.
wholeheartedly. And what did that look like? Because that's a scary thing to do. Hey, come here from Southeast DC and move to Bethesda with me into my house and start coming to meetings with me. What was going through your mind?
You know what, John? A part of me was like, what do I have to lose, but I got a lot of criticism from the homeboys. A lot of the boys back home thought me and Timmy were, and I had to let them know. I had to let them know, no, it ain't like that. That's my sponsor. He's helping me. You know what I mean?
They didn't know. They didn't know anything about it.
They didn't know.
Right?
They didn't know.
What did
really
you
took a
think at
lot
the
of-
time? Were you thinking this is a chance for me to change my life, or were you just like me, just so beaten down that you were like, I'll try anything at this point, man?
That's where I was at, beaten down. I'll try anything, and I don't want to go back to Southeast.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to Southeast.
Yeah. A lot of time in treatment, they talk about people, places, and things. And I know for me, one of the issues I had was being powerless. All it took was for one of my old buddies to be like, hey, come on out. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to get messed up, but man, I'm powerless.
That's right.
And all it takes is him cracking a 40 or passing around the joint. And I'm saying no, yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, I think all of us have those, and this was a pivotal fork in the road for you, right? I mean, this was like, I'm either going to step out on a limb and trust this guy, or I'm going to go back to what I know, which is comfortable, but it's probably not going to work,
Yeah.
And think about where you would be if you had decided, you know what, dude, I'm not moving to Bethesda.
Yeah.
Because I think about the odds of you making it out of where you were. What are the odds of that happening? And how few people really make it out, once they're in a situation like that. I mean, it's for any of us, really, the odds are not good.
We all take meetings to treatment centers now, and I think about how many people we meet who could use something like this in their lives, and they just never. It's like you can't show it to them because everybody has to have their own experience.
Right.
You can't tell them to make them believe it, and how many of them just go on their way, and you just wonder, man, this.
It's defeating at
I know.
times.
I listened to a lot of Joe and Charlie, right? And Joe says, alcoholics that are like still drinking, the only thing that makes me different from them is they're afraid to take actions that they don't believe in. You know what I mean? And that's what I learned. AA is all about. It's about more action.
Right.
It's about praying and taking more action, and praying and taking more action.
Because if what we share is our experience, strength, and hope, you can't get that experience until you take that action.
That's right.
You cannot understand something you haven't done.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So.
It's a very simple program,
It's simple.
and I think that's a good segue into our topic tonight. The weekly topic tonight that we want to talk about is nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. And I think this is one of those simple actions we take. Chris, what do you think? What's been your experience with this statement? Because I've heard this a lot over the years. We've, when times are hard or things are not going your way, to have this brought to you by your sponsor or maybe in your head. What is it that,
One, I agree with it. I think, to me, I don't work with new people because I feel like I need to like I feel crazy or I'm going to drink. I work with new people because it has the people that I have helped, whether I sponsor them or not, along the way, have enriched my life in such a way that I cannot imagine my life without it. Without these relationships in my life, without these people that either I've sponsored or not sponsored or just grown up in AA with, like all of you guys. I don't sponsor any of you guys, but we've grown up in AA together. And those relationships are everything to me. And they have always, the sort of spark of those relationships is me helping another person in Alcoholics Anonymous, not for anything for any selfish reason, but because that's what I've been taught to do. And I now have the experience that those relationships have enriched my life. So I'm always trying to work with, I always have a few guys under a year. There has never been a time in my sobriety that I have not been working with a new guy under a year, And I've got some guys that have some time, but I mean, they don't really do much in AA anymore. So, they really don't really,
and they don't
not much work.
And you know what?
You know what I mean?
They definitely don't need the help in the way that they did before. The intensive.
I need someone in the emergency room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are these are aftercare. These become like physical therapy aftercare type people the longer they stay.
And I had these same experiences, Clyde. I mean, when I was new and I wasn't married and had kids and living in a house, I moved guys in. I moved this guy that I sponsored, one of our first guests. And I moved him into my house, and he's been sober ever since. And and countless other people that I mean, it was such a joy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And
and I think a part of this, one of the reasons we like this topic was, Clyde, you talked about being, at the 801 East Men's Shelter, and then
you're still
since
taking
then,
a meeting down there, right?
You've kind of, the roles have reversed a little bit. That guy who came in and helped you are now that guy going in there. Yeah. What has your experience been with that and helping other people there?
So going down to the 801 shelter, it's been a very humbling experience. And just like when I was there, you get some guys that are interested, you get some guys that are not interested. But I think it's important that I keep, we keep, carrying the message.
Yeah.
The message down there.
And how has that been? Because, a part of that experience, I've been down there before with you guys. A part of that experience just isn't maybe necessarily going in there and talking to that guy, but it's the experience. It's the drive down there in traffic. It's the hang with the other guys who bring the meeting in. It's the dinner at Ted's Bulletin afterward. And maybe there's a couple new guys who aren't in the shelter, but get to experience coming down there and hanging out.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me, And when you the real hit is when you pick those guys up, and you take them out to eat, and you take them to Midtown, and you take them back to the shelter, and then they call you in the week and say, can we do it again?
That's right.
But just a week earlier, they would say, oh man, I ain't going to that dumbass meeting with all those white people and blah 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 blah. But you hear something totally different after they have the experience of going.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's you talked about that, Chris. That's a part of that experience, that feeling when you work with somebody else. I didn't realize when I got sober that I was going to want that experience, or that was going to hold so much value in my belief in a higher power, was seeing that light come on in somebody else's eyes. Maybe working with one of those guys and having them call you up and be like, you know what, I do want to go back to that meeting. And it's almost like that they had no hope and now they have a little bit of hope.
That's right.
I mean, I think working with new people in AA has realigned my value system. I mean, if you think about what's of value to a newcomer, the only thing of value that we have to offer is our time and our experience, And if I think about how selfish I am on most days, the thing that is hardest for me to part with, even more now than ever, is my time.
100%.
And you really start to think about what's important. When I think about my family and my relationships with my, kids, I think about how much time am I spending with them? That's more important than, money or job or career. I mean, it's really that time that you didn't get with your dad, the time I didn't get with my dad. Yeah. You know what I mean? That time is all that really matters. Now, it's not, they still need food on the table, you know what I mean? But it's more important, and it's the same thing in AA. That time and our experience is all that matters to new guys. They don't care where I work. They don't care how much money I make. They don't care what kind of car I drive. Nothing. They don't care about any of that. They're like, how do I not drink tomorrow?
They really don't, which is a good thing. It's nice to have people in your life that don't care like that, you know? And so I think overall, the statement from the literature, nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. Our experience has been that is very true.
That's a fact.
And I'll say this before we move on. I've seen a lot of people come into AA who helped a lot of people, and they kind of faded away from that, helping other people and helping alcoholics. And I know that for me, one of the things that keeps me in the middle and aware of my alcoholism is working with other alcoholics, people who are suffering from alcoholism, because it reminds me, helps me remember through sharing experience or listening to them that was me.
It's not the only thing you got to do, but it's a key piece.
It's a big part of it.
It's a big part.
It's definitely a big part of it. It's, it's basically a half or a third of the 12th step, is working with other alcoholics.
Absolutely.
So, I think it's a great topic, and we could talk forever about all the work that we've done and going down to the shelter. But let's move on to the next part of our show, a fun one. Let's get into the newcomer tip of the week.
Oh, yes. Look at this guy, DJ.
Yes. So that's you, Chris. That's like you and Gabe.
Nah, but Gabe, because we do have a show coming up, a little gig, me and Gabe.
Oh, that's right. What's it called, Gabe?
But I'm trying to figure out.
Electronica with 2 A's at the end.
Like AA.
Yeah.
You notice that he's got both his hands on the CDJs.
He's spinning both.
But he's got nothing on the mixer.
He's doing nothing. He's doing
He's got no hands on the mixer. So what is he really doing?
It's like a lot of people in AA.
Yeah. he's got a pre-mixed tape going. That's what he's got going on.
Hey, good newcomer.
Yeah,
good newcomer.
That's a newcomer tip of the week.
Yeah.
Make sure you use your mixer.
So the tip of the week, this one is, and this is a good one, I think. All meetings are not created equal. Find your people.
Yeah.
I tried to do a little rhyme there. Equal and people.
That's good. I
don't know if you guys picked up on that. All meetings are not
Mile.
created equal. That was my.
It's all that 8 Mile you
Unlike,
watched, man.
I will say,
I will say
this.
Bars.
Unlike Clyde, who would watch the detective shows and want to be a detective, I did not. I knew I wasn't going to be a rapper. I knew.
How did you know?
I never tried to even do it. I just was motivated by Eminem. But so all meetings are not created equal. Find your people. I think this is important because last week I was talking to a newcomer and they were sharing some distaste and distrust in a meeting that they had gone to.
Yeah.
And they were saying that they were a little bit discouraged by that. And I think what I saw in them and what I know now that I didn't know then is there are a lot of meetings, right? There are a lot of meetings. What's been your experience with that, Clyde? Had you been to different meetings? Did you try out different places and kind of find what worked for you? And if so, how did that go?
Well, at one time, I kind of questioned myself, did I want to stay at Midtown?
Okay.
Because it kind of, sorry, but it kind of looked like cliquish, at one time, So, I mean, I went to different meetings, but one of the things I realized, John, is that a lot of stuff only exists right here. I learned that, a lot of stuff exists right here. But I mean, these days I really don't have a lot of trouble with going to.
So what you mentioned the word, it looked cliquish, and what's funny is this newcomer I was talking to, that's what they said.
That's what they said, right?
They said
You hear that a lot.
They said I walked in and it just seems so cliquish, and what I said to them was, well, I think I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Everywhere you go can kind of seem like that when you don't know anybody.
When you don't know anybody.
And so what you say that, and you say you don't have a problem with that today. What happened to kind of get you past that cliquish thing from the meetings you started attending?
Well, kind of like approaching people, just going up to them and talking to them. And the thing is, like, and it took some time to learn this, like, how people feel about me is really not. It's not my business. You know what I mean? Like, I can't let. I've never had the experience of like, no bad experience with the people at Midtown. But I've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous, I can't let people's outsides dictate my insides. You know what I mean?
How about getting involved? Did that help? Did you get more involved and through that maybe feel more comfortable?
Getting involved, yeah. As a matter of fact, I just picked up a new service position.
There you go.
At the home group.
Yeah.
Which is it's one that helps me because I got to stay for the entire meeting. I had developed this habit of leaving at halftime for about a year.
It's a longer
for about
meeting.
a year.
It's a longer meeting.
For about a year, right? So, a buddy of mine, he gave me a service position where I have to stay for the whole meeting and some.
There you go.
So that's another way. How about you, Chris? What, we've been to different clubhouses and different meetings and different places, and I can guarantee you all meetings are not created equal. They're all different kinds of people at meetings, and I feel better at one more than the other.
I think, and I don't want to, I don't want to bash any particular meetings or anything like that because, I needed every meeting. Every meeting I went to led me to my home group that is today, and that was Midtown for 20 years, and now my new home group, Monday Men's, which is, but so, but when you're in the, when you're getting locked up and you get funneled through the pre-release center and they send you to these meetings, they're sending you to meetings that are convenient to the facility,
Right.
And it was hard to see myself staying sober in some of these meetings that I went to. I just couldn't, I didn't see myself in that meeting, and the first time my sponsor took me to a meeting that was connected to Midtown was this meeting called Saturday Night Special. It's still around, still a great meeting. And I just walked in and I felt the energy in that room. I mean, and it was bursting. There was nowhere to sit. It was standing room only. And I'm a guy, I like crowded clubs and venues. If there's a line around the corner, I know it's good. You know what I mean? That's the one I want to go to, And, there were pretty girls. I mean, obviously that's a plus, you know what I mean? But people seemed happy and they were coming up to me, hey, you want coffee? Do you need a seat? They made space for the newcomer, even though there wasn't much space to give.
Right.
And that meant a lot to me, and the attraction was there, you know what I mean? And I think, you will find that whatever that is for you, however old you are, young or old or wherever you are, you'll find that in AA, and especially in our area, which is the DMV area here in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's 2,500 meetings a week. I mean,
there's a lot.
If you can't find a meeting that you like, to me, it's kind of like you just don't want to get sober.
And I think, just a little disclaimer, you may be listening to us right now from somewhere where there's one meeting a week and it's the same clubhouse meeting every day at 7 p.m. and you're saying, F you don't know what it's like. And so we don't. But what we will say is that if you do have the opportunity to be in an area where there's a bunch of meetings like our area and you're feeling like as a newcomer, you don't like the meeting you went to, go to a different meeting. Check out a different meeting. Yeah. Or, and this is something else I heard, actually, I'll say this. Somebody said, well, I didn't like the speaker at that meeting, so I didn't go back. Just so you know, if you're new, the speakers change every week. Meetings. Not at all meetings, but most meetings, the speaker changes every week. So you may have a different experience, right?
That's right.
So all meetings, not equal. Check out some different meetings if you don't like the one you're going to. Let's move on to
we don't have to.
This is my favorite part of the show. Let's get into the sketch of the week. Ooh,
I hate that. Just this sounds like the music of how bad am I going to lose tonight.
This is really good. So the sketch of the week is called We Had But Two Alternatives. We've done this once before if you've listened to the show. If not, we'll give you a real quick recap. I am going to read, and we're going to put them up on the screen, 5 different readings, one at a time. Each reading is either from the book Alcoholics Anonymous or the book The 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Each of you, Clyde, Chris and our producer Gabe are going to be competing against each other to basically win the game and
God dice.
and a God dice, which we have over on the shelf. Justin's holding one of those up over there, our one of our guests in the studio audience. So the way this is going to go is we're going to put up one on the screen. You're going to have to write down whether it's from the AA book or the 12 and 12. We also do a bonus point if you can write down the chapter from the big book it's from or the step it's from, because it's only going to be from the steps in the 12 steps and 12 traditions. All right?
Okay.
So that's how it's going to go. We're going to go through all 5 of them. You guys aren't going to say anything. You're going to write down your answers. And then at the end, I'm going to go through them one by one.
What about the people on Zoom? Can they play too?
If you're on Zoom right now, you can play. If you're listening,
Chat,
you can play.
Gabe with your answers.
Chat Gabe with your answers.
Yeah, why not?
We would love that.
Yeah.
Let's get
Send
some
me a little-
participation.
Send me a little
Keep it
private
up in the
message.
corner.
I
Actually,
hope that they
yeah, be
can.
careful. Take that down, though. Don't keep the chat up because people are going to give their answers and you guys are going to see them.
I will copy them.
Don't do
just
that.
like I did in 5th grade.
All right. Let's throw the first
Like
one
that
up there.
Scantron bubble sheet.
We had but 2
Put it down,
alternatives. Number 1. All right. When we reached AA and for the first time in our lives stood among people who seemed to understand, the sense of belonging was tremendously exciting. We thought the isolation problem had been solved. But we soon discovered that while we weren't alone anymore in a social sense, we still suffered many of the old pangs of anxious apartness.
This
All right,
is
write it.
crazy. Who would
Choose
know this?
Choose one. That's either from the AA book
Who
or
would
the
know
12 and
this?
12. Just
I mean,
write
it's
your
a
answer
guess. Give me
and
the God
remember.
dice. I'm going to just roll
write
the dice.
write an answer down. Write an answer. Gabe, don't cheat.
I don't know.
All right.
I have no idea.
All right. Our studio audience can play too if they want.
Yeah.
All right, and remember, if you want the bonus point, you need to write down the
There's no
chapter
shot.
or the
There's
step.
no shot. I'm just totally guessing at this. I mean,
Did anybody on Zoom
I
write?
should just
Well,
flip-
actually, if they write down, if the Zoom chat's in, Gabe is going to get hooked by somebody. Let's not even go down that road. Oh, nobody's. All right, it's fine. Don't. All right. Let's
I don't know.
let's minimize that. Minimize that. All right, let's go to number 2.
Gabe's playing too.
I am playing
Gabe
as
is
well.
playing. I don't want him to
His
see.
his
All right.
sponsors online. He's going to
Studio
start.
audience
He's going to start
is-
pushing him answers.
Studio audience is playing as well. All right, number 2. Now and then, the family will be plagued by specters from the past. For the drinking career of almost every alcoholic has been marked by escapades, funny, humiliating, shameful, or tragic. The first impulse will be to bury these skeletons in a dark closet and padlock the door. This is the second one. Pick your reading, the big book or the 12 and 12.
I literally am just guessing at this point. These are so obscure.
I mean, they're in the first 164 in Dr. Bob's Nightmare or the 12 steps.
There's
out of
no,
12
you
and
know,
12.
do you see any thumpers?
Nothing crazy.
Any big book thumpers in this audience, in this panel?
Everybody good? Let's move on. Number 3. We think it no concern of ours what religious bodies our members identify themselves with as individuals. This should be an entirely personal affair, which each one decides for himself in the light of past associations or his present choice. Not all of us join religious bodies, but most of us favor such memberships. It's a good one. No? Yes?
I
no?
hate this.
Maybe?
I
I love it
I
because you
hate this
guys are
game.
so. I can just sense the discomfort. Like, this is hard. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, we got to start coming up with sketches.
Dude, we should just start grilling John with some questions. Give him some trivia.
Yeah, well, he's
Does
the
John
one
know
who,
anything either?
Let's go
He's the
on.
one who-
Let's
he's
go
the-
to number 4.
he's the puppet master. Here.
Number 4. After coming from our first meeting, or perhaps after we have finished reading the book Alcoholics Anonymous, we usually want to sit down with some member of the family and readily admit the damage we have done by our drinking. Almost always, we want to go further and admit other defects that have made us hard to live with.
This one I feel like a little bit of confidence.
I have
Just
no.
a little bit.
I have no.
Maybe I
confidence.
tried to trick you.
Yeah, I have no confidence.
Oh, you're so annoying.
All right, let's get on with it.
Let's
Last
go. Number
one.
five. Number five.
Put me out of my misery.
And finally, I tried to make one easy. What then have we alcoholics in AA got, or can we get, the resources to meet these calamities which come to so many? These were problems of life which we could never face up to. Can we now, with the help of God as we understand Him, handle them as well and as bravely as our non-alcoholic friends often do? This is a good one. I'll tell you this. This was a part of a book that my first sponsor would have me read when I was really struggling.
Wait. Is there I thought it can only be the big book or 12.
It can. I said a book, meaning I didn't want to say which book. It's one of those two books. I would read this regularly when I was really struggling. So I put that in there as a little.
You must have been
little
really
homage
struggling.
to my spot. I was crazy when I was new, man. I was crazy. So, all right, you guys got your answers? Everybody ready to go? I'm going to pull out the answer sheet here. I don't want Chris looking at them. He's trying to.
I'm not going to change
sneak
anything.
Trying to sneak a peek here. All right,
If I get one right, it's by sheer luck.
number one. Gabe, what do you got?
I got the big book, chapter 9.
Chris,
Big book.
Clyde.
Big book.
You all are incorrect. It is the 12 and 12, step 5, page 57.
So wrong.
All right. Number 2, Clyde, what do you got?
I got 12 and 12.
You got 12 and 12.
12 and 12.
What do you
Same.
got, Chris?
Same.
Clyde, Gabe.
I got 12 and 12, step 10.
Wow. You guys are all wrong again. That is from the big book. The Family Afterward, page 123.
dude. So
Dude,
bad.
our studio audience is they're really doing better than you guys. You guys
Wow.
are.
Is he
All right.
2 for 2?
He's 2 for 2. All right, let's go to number 3. Chris, what did you have?
12 and 12.
You have 12, 12. Gabe,
Big book.
Clyde.
Big book.
That would be the big book.
Unbelievable.
We
There-
agnostics?
There is a solution.
Oh.
Page 28.
If Justin wins, he gets nothing.
Absolutely.
Our
He gets
studio
nothing.
audience gets no. Yeah, no, he's not.
The fact that he's here is
This is all for fun for him.
this win.
Yeah,
It's a win.
All right, number 4. Gabe, what do you got?
12 and 12, 9th step.
Clyde,
12 and 12.
Chris,
Big book.
12 and 12. Step 9.
I've gotten
Let's
none right.
go.
I
Did you get
think
step 9, Clyde?
No, he didn't write step 9.
No step.
And no step.
Gabe, that might take it down right there.
Dude.
I realized that it was very clearly from it was probably from the 9th step,
That's
but it
what
could have not been.
Well,
Could have not been.
I thought 12 and 12 just because it mentioned the big book. That would be weird for the big book to mention itself as the big book. But
Yeah, I tried to trick you guys with that one.
what was some reverse psychology?
Yeah. Number 5. All right, Clyde, what'd you have for number 5?
12 and 12. No.
Chris,
12 and 12.
Gabe,
12 and 12.
you guys would all finally, for the first time, I
got
think in the
one.
history of our show, be correct.
I got
And
one.
that is from step 12. Page 1, I'll just put it out there. Page 112 to page
my God.
117 in the 12 and 12. If you're struggling, this is where it's at, man. 12 step really gets into, so what now, man? What do we do?
What now?
We face, now in life, even though we're sober, life still comes at us.
That's
you know,
right.
people still die, people get sick, we lose jobs, we lose money, we lose houses. You know,
Shit happens.
what are you gonna do
Shit
now?
happens.
You know, and so yeah, but that's it. All right, who all right, point wise, Chris, how many points do you really did not do well?
One. I got one
point.
right.
How many you got, Clyde?
I think I got 2 points.
You got 2 points.
I got
Let's see, yeah, you got 2 points.
I got 3 points. Well,
You got-
4 points because I got the
Gabe,
so Gabe is the winner.
runaway winner.
The winner.
Okay,
Runaway winner.
all right.
Nobody cares what Justin
Congratulations, Gabe.
got. Nobody cares what Justin got.
Gabe, toss me those God dice. Toss the God dice over here so I can hold
Justin,
those
can
on
you toss
camera.
them over?
Yeah.
Oh,
We got some God dice here.
God dice.
No
How they sound when they hit the table.
No matter what you roll, God's dice
Are always.
are always.
And nobody can see that.
Nobody
on
can
camera.
see. Oh, well, no. it's
Well, they
there.
can see the dice. They can't see what they say, but they'll just have to take our word
Yeah.
for it. Oh, there we go.
They say
They say God on them on all different sides. They say God. So if you're listening online, you can't see I'm holding a couple of the God dice, which is the winning prize for today's sketch of the week winner.
And I'm going to keep him here in the studio to remind myself.
how come there's 3 and not 4?
I thought I'm going to be honest with you, man. Remember when we were like, do they come in set? They should come in two. They don't. They came 1 die.
That doesn't
So it was a God.
nice.
Instead of God dice, they should have just been honest and said God die. It was a God die. I thought I was going to get 3 sets, but they gave me 3. So
It's kind of a, I
Yeah.
feel like it's a bit of a scam, but
Yeah.
I mean, hey, these are, what do you do?
You can still gamble with it.
Yeah, you could. All right. All that being said, I think we are out of time. We want to again thank our guest Clyde for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Clyde, thank you so much. That was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Love hearing your experience, man.
Thank you.
We are coming back again next week with another great episode of The Meeting After the Meeting, episode 10. We've got another great guest.
Great guess.
Coming in. We're excited to hear
forward to
her story.
Yep.
And from John, Chris, and Gabe, we want to thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you back next week.
Thank you.
bye, everyone.